In this tutorial, we're doing a very honest comparison between two worlds, the traditional 3D art workflow and the AI 3D art workflow. Same 2D illustration reference, same frame-by-frame animation guide. Two completely different production approaches. We'll break both of them down step by step, compare the time, the quality, the flexibility, and of course, the cost. No hype, no fake magic button talk. Just a real workflow comparison from a motion designer's point of view. So stay focused because this one is important. But before we start, just to be clear, both examples you're seeing are real projects, not fake demo shots. Each one has its own full tutorial and breakdown, and there's even more available if you want to go deeper. You'll find all the links in the description box. So, the first project is the hedgehog worm with the apple. Inside Blender, I started by importing both references, the 2D illustration and the frame-by-frame animation guide. From there, I modeled the entire scene based on those references, every object, every shape, and every small detail. Then came the lighting setup, where I focused on a warm, rich tone to get that soft, handcrafted mood. Usually, animation would come before final look dev, but for this one, I knew I was going to animate frame by frame using an external add-on. So I did the look dev first to make the animation process easier and more controlled. Then comes the rigging part where I used a spline IK method to control the whole thing using a curve, and after that, animation. I used the key mesh add-on and followed the reference frame by frame to get that unique handmade movement. Then I repeated the animation and turned it into a seamless loop. And here's the final result. Originally, after testing, experimenting, and finding the right style and tools, this project took around 4 days to finish. Then later, when I recorded the full tutorial version, the actual production process took around 3 hours. Now moving to the second project, the roller spider. Same idea. 2D illustration reference, frame-by-frame animation guide, then modeling, lighting, and look dev. But this one had a few extra challenges. The look dev was built with hand-painted textures, plus some smart tricks to make the disco floor light up randomly. Then I rigged each leg of the spider and animated every single one by following the reference. After that, I used grease pencil to add those cool handmade outlines and secondary drawn frames, just to push the handcrafted feeling even more. And finally, I added some compositing tricks, glow, lens dirt, and a bit of camera imperfection to make the shot feel more cinematic. And here's the second final result. For the tutorial remake, rebuilding this whole process took around 4 to 5 hours after days of experimenting and researching. So yeah, these are real handcrafted results built from scratch inside Blender, and they were done more than a year ago. Now that we've seen the traditional 3D approach, let's move to the other side. Let's try to remake everything using AI. So here on the board, I started exactly the same way I did in Blender, a simple 2D reference plus a frame-by-frame animation guide. First, I experimented with Nano Banana 2 to explore the early vibe and style for the hand-painted 3D look dev I wanted. And honestly, Nano Banana 2 handled it really well. So once I got some promising style samples, I moved on. I extracted one frame from the rough animation guide, then used that frame as input in Nano Banana again, along with the 2D reference as a color guide for the worm and apple. After a few tests, I got these samples. This one looked strong, so I decided to try animating it with Kling 03 Pro Edit Video. I gave Kling both inputs, the frame-by-frame animation reference and the stylized frame we chose. And here's the first result. Pretty cool, right? But if you look closely, there's some distortion and frame melting happening. And yeah, we absolutely don't want that. So I tried again with the same setup, same input, same prompt, and sadly, same problem. But we were close enough, so I decided to keep moving and work on the environment. For the environment, I used the same 2D painting as a reference and asked Nano Banana to create a wide 21:9 version of the scene. In the prompt, I clearly mentioned no characters, no text, no logos. And this result actually understood the assignment. It removed the worm and apple, which was perfect. I tried a few more versions with the same prompt and input. Out of all of them, this one was obviously the best, so I chose it. Then I asked Nano Banana to make the large cone smaller to give the worm and apple enough room to move. Here's the before and after. After that, I noticed this plant was also in the way, so I took the image into Photoshop, circled the plant in red, and asked Nano Banana to remove only the object marked in red. And boom, it worked. This is a really useful trick for precise AI editing. Since that worked, I used the same idea again. I marked all the foreground objects with a red outline and asked Nano Banana to extract only those objects onto a solid green background. And here we have the extracted foreground, including shadows. Then I did the opposite. I asked it to remove the marked objects from the original scene. So now I had two clean layers, one background and one foreground. After that, I upscaled both results to 4K using Topaz just to get more detail and sharpness. And just like that, we now have a separated background and foreground, so the worm and apple can move freely between them. Now, moving to the worm animation, this time I cleaned the reference and prepared it for Seedance 2 Omni. I extracted a frame from the animation guide, then generated 6 LookDev samples using the same exact prompt and reference. Honestly, all of them were pretty good, but this one was the closest to the original design, so I selected it, upscaled the reference to 4K using Topaz Starlight, then gave Seedance both the animation reference and the rendered style frame. And this time, wow. Seedance followed the frame-by-frame animation much more accurately than Kling. The result was cleaner, more stable, and way closer to what I needed. I made 3 tries, chose the best one, then used Kling 03 Pro Edit Video only to add a soft shadow under the worm so it blends better with the ground. Finally, I upscaled the result to 4K for that extra crisp, polished look. So now we have the environment, the separated foreground and background, and the animated worm, all in the same style and look dev. Next, let's move to the roller spider. I cropped the character from the reference, isolated it on a green background, then generated different 3D hand-painted look dev versions. I chose this one, upscaled it to 4K, then also upscaled the frame-by-frame animation reference. After that, I gave Seedance both the animation guide and the final style image and asked it to re-render every frame using that look dev. And here's the result. Awesome. Then I upscaled it again to 4K. For the spider environment, I cropped the background reference and used the same approach. I generated 3 different wide 21:9 versions, and this one was the closest to what I wanted. Then I removed the roller spider while keeping everything else the same, so I had a clean, empty disco scene to work with. Next, I made the floor brighter, and here's the difference. But if you notice, there were still a lot of bokeh circles and lens dirt effects in the background. So I asked Nano Banana to remove all of them, and now the environment is much cleaner and ready. After upscaling, I asked Seedance 2 to animate the disco environment. The first try came out in 16:9 because I forgot to control the aspect ratio. So I tried again with the same exact prompt, but changed the aspect ratio to 21:9 and set the duration to 15 seconds. And here we have it. The floor lighting up, the disco ball spinning, the sparks twinkling, and the music notes moving smoothly with the scene. There are still a few glitches, but that's totally fine. We can fix those later in compositing. Then I upscaled the result to 4K, and just like that, we now have the animated environment and the animated character ready for the next step. And the craziest part? Everything you just saw, even with all the failed attempts, tests, and extra tries, cost less than $40. That's honestly insane. And of course, all of this was done inside FlashBoards. Next, we move into the compositing phase in After Effects. Now we're moving into After Effects. For the worm shot, I started with the 4K footage, added key light to remove the green screen, then used hue/saturation to push the colors a little so the character blends better with the environment. After that, I duplicated the worm footage a few times to build a clean 10-second loop. Inside the main 21:9 composition, I added the foreground elements, also keyed with key light, then applied fastbox blur to give them some depth. In the background, I placed the full wide environment. Once the scene was built, I animated the worm comp with simple position keyframes, so it moves forward with every roll. Then, inside the final full HD comp, I animated the whole 21:9 scene slightly, so it feels like the camera itself is moving, and that's it. The worm shot is ready. Now for the spider shot. Same start, 4K upscaled footage, key light to remove the green screen, then duplicated a few times to create a perfect loop. Inside the main 21:9 comp, I duplicated the spider layer and used deep glow with a yellow fill to fake that strong back glow coming from the disco floor. On the main spider layer, I added bevel and emboss with a yellow tint, so the character feels like it's actually being lit by the floor underneath. Then I duplicated the spider comp again, made the layers 3D, rotated them on the x-axis, added blending modes, fast blur, and lower opacity, basically building a fake shadow pass directly inside After Effects. After that, I dropped in the animated environment footage, both the 4K version and the normal one, just to compare the extra detail. On top of everything, I added the hand-drawn line frames. I used color range to remove the white background, added a purple fill, then repeated that across the full sequence. Finally, I duplicated the main environment on top, masked it, and used the spider comp as a track mat, so it looks like the floor is reflecting some light back onto the character. Then, in the final full HD comp, I added a few adjustment layers to polish the whole look, and there we have it, the final polished result. So now you've seen the full breakdown from both approaches. On one side, we have the traditional 3D workflow, modeling, lighting, look dev, rigging, animation, rendering, and compositing. For both examples together, that was around 10 hours of actual production and rendering time, after many days of testing, experimenting, and research just to find the right style and workflow. And cost-wise, here's the full breakdown for each project. $250 for the 2D illustration, $150 for the rough frame-by-frame animation guide, $750 for the full 3D production process. So for both projects together, the total production cost was around $2,300. Now, on the other side, we have the AI workflow. Same references, same goal, but a completely different production path. This time, the actual generation work took around 30 minutes. And we're talking about rendering full shots in minutes, not hours or days. For the cost, each image generation was only $0.06, and you saw all the attempts right here on the board. The longest Seedance 2 generation was 15 seconds, and that cost around $4.5. So even with all the tests, failed attempts, extra versions, upscaling, and experiments, the total cost was still less than $40. And all of it made possible inside FlashBoards. And this is the real point of the tutorial. AI is not here to dethrone your years of experience, your taste, your animation skills, or your artistic eye. It's here to boost them. Because the better you understand design, motion, lighting, composition, timing, and storytelling, the better your AI results will be. So in the end, it's your call. You can see AI as a threat, or you can use it as a creative engine to move faster, test more ideas, and push your work further. I really hope you enjoyed this breakdown, and I hope it helped you make a better decision where AI fits inside your own workflow. Keep experimenting, keep creating, and I'll see you in the next one.